Hi, everyone, and welcome to Have a Seat at My Table, a podcast where I will be sharing some interesting experiences I have had in my life, in my 24 years of life, the things I have learned from my own experiences, and also be sharing experiences of others that will be coming on this channel. And the aim is to encourage anyone out there and to share our mistakes as well, so as to help those behind us, those younger than us, to avoid making the same mistakes that we made. In Africa, we always say, I made the mistake so that you don't have to make the mistake. So learn from me and live better. So I am in no way an authority in anything I'm about to say. Like I said, I'm just coming from a place of my experiences, what I have learned, and I'm just going to be sharing my story. So on today's episode, which is going to be the first ever episode of this podcast, we'll be talking on things I wish I knew before moving out of my mother's house. So I moved out of my mother's house when I was 22 years old. And if you're abroad, if you're in the UK, the US, if you're not staying in Africa, moving out of your parents' house in your 20s, like I know abroad, children move out of their parents' house at 18. It's very normal. But in Africa, yeah, many of us do stay in at hostels in the university because it's closer to school. Maybe there's the university we want to go to is in a different town from where we stay, so we have to rent a room and stay close to school, so it facilitates everything. But when you're renting like that, you're still under your parents basically, so they fund your every bill, like your house rent, your feeding, your transport, your every bill. It's almost like you're in boarding school there. But what I'm talking about is the fact that I moved out, moved out. So moving out, not looking back, kind of moving out, like, okay, I'm going out, going to be an adult, I'm going to start my life, peace, bye, big girl moves, all of that. So these are some things I did not know, things I did not take into consideration moving out. And most of you will hear this and be like, girl, where was your mind at? That's a question I've been asking myself of recent. Like, where was my mind at? What did I think living by myself was going to look like? So, without further ado, let's go to the first lesson. Bills won't pay themselves. Yes, I said it. Okay, so I moved to a new town. So I'm in Cameroon in Africa, and my family normally stays in Bamenda, which is a town, in Bamenda and in Douala. So I was in Douala with my mom and younger sister, and I had an opportunity to come for a professional internship in Yaoundé, and I took it without thinking a lot. So I thought, given as I was come for a professional internship, and I was really going to be doing my master's in the process, it's going to look similar to what it was when I was staying by myself during my degree time. But little did I know that that wasn't the case. That wasn't the case, guys. That wasn't the case. Like in my family's eyes, like in the eyes of my family members, I had moved out. I was I was an adult, okay, because I had the professional internships are paid here in Cameroon. So I don't know in other countries, but yeah, they are paid. They're not really paid good because you're not an employee, but they are paid anyway. So yes, so I thought they were going to fund my bills, or at least they were going to help. But behold and behold, they did help. They did help set out the house. They did help me pay part of my first year rent and some things like, get the bed and everything that I had to ship from Douala to Yaoundé. That was being handled by my family members, and I greatly appreciate it. And I thought it was going to continue. I thought every time I needed to pay my rent, they were going to chip in something, or they were going to send me some sort of allowance. That is not the case. Okay, I pay my house rent, I feed myself. If I'm sick, I go buy drugs by myself. If I want to dress, I'm buying it by myself. Like, fun fact, before I started staying by myself, I had never bought anything by myself. Like, I've never bought my dress, my shoes, nothing. Like, everything was bought by my mom. Like, she was the one that we'll go to the market together, and it's from her money that she'll buy these things for me. So behold, it was very strange having to all these things by myself. But I've been in Yaoundé for almost 2 years, and I've stayed on my own for a year. I've stayed on my own for a year. So I it's been interesting, so to say. It was hard. I'm still trying to adjust to allocating my money because it's not a lot that I already said. So it's definitely interesting having to like budget. I'm now learning how to budget, to save, all these things I did not have to care for when I was in Douala with my family. Now I have to do that because bills will not pay themselves. Like, if I don't have money to eat, it's on me. Like, I would starve if I don't allocate money for food. If I don't allocate money for transport to go to work or to go to church, like, it's everything comes from my pockets. Like, I can't even ask because I came on my own. So I got to suck it up and be the bigger that I am. So for those thinking of moving out, make sure you have things in your bank account because bills will not pay themselves. Repeat after me. Bills will not pay themselves. So make sure that you have a good paying job. Make sure that you are coming for a job and not an internship. I wish I knew that so that I will know that living on your own is not cheap, and what I am being paid as the professional intern doesn't even cut it. But it is what it is. So we're moving on to two, which is in kind of, I already started talking about it. Have a good source of income that can fund your lifestyle. See, even if you are the most basic of basic people, staying on your own is pretty expensive. You have to pay the house rent, you have to pay the light, the water, you have to buy toiletries, foodstuffs. I mean, like my house, I have strictly the basics. But even then, it is still expensive. It is very expensive, and I wish I was coming for a proper job that will pay me adequate money that can be able to take care of this simple lifestyle that I'm currently living. Because seriously, I am living like a student. I know student houses, like the ones that are not scammers, real students, eh? The houses are basic. Like, you just have a bed, your clothes, your toiletries, and food. I don't even have a fridge or a television or all of those. I don't have AC in my house, but it is still expensive to run and manage this house. Just keeping the roof over my head. Sometimes I get very anxious at the end of the year, at the end of the month, thinking about how I'm going to slash out half of my money to pay house rent. So it's a lot. So make sure before you leave your parents' house, I beg, if you're one of those that are too hot, I want my freedom, I don't want to stay in my parents' house, I want the freedom to be going out and coming back late. Please, please stay in your parents' house till you have a good source of income. See, preferably, don't move out until you're earning 200K per month. Hear it from me and hear since. If your salary is not 150K to 200K, you're moving out for who? Where? Why? Stay in your parents' house where you're living rent free, food is free, light is free, everything is free, and you have safety. Mama, Papa, stay in your house. My brothers and sisters, learn from me. Oh. The third lesson I wish I knew, the third thing I wish I knew before moving out was self discipline is very important. Knowing who you are, knowing your boundaries, and just having the ability to push yourself to do what you need to do. Because you're not under your parents that are monitoring you, push you to do things. Staying on my own has been tough because there are times where I never feel like studying because I've stopped my masters for now. I not feel like studying. I not feel like going to school. So at times I don't go to school because I not just feel like it. That there were things that I did not do last year because I did not feel like it, and so I really noticed that I lacked self-discipline, and there were so many things that I allowed to be done to me because I know I have boundaries. So I'm beginning to learn about myself and learn the importance of having boundaries. And boundaries really are not a bad thing. They really just protect you and protect the other person, because if the person does not overstep the boundary, you guys will not fight. And if the person does not overstep the boundary, you won't get hurt. So make sure that you know who you are, know where you are going to, and be someone who is self-disciplined enough to push themselves to do what needs to be done. You're not some lazy ass child that they have to be dragging out of bed every morning. Make sure you're someone that is very disciplined, because it will save your life. You will avoid so many unnecessary headaches that come with our young adult life if you're a very disciplined and focused and straight person. So make sure that your boundaries are very clear. Clear for everyone to see. There are no rooms for misunderstanding, misconceptions. Your yes is your yes, your no is your no. There are no birds, maybe, something like that. No. Yes and no, period. Even the Bible says your answer should be yes or no. Any other thing is from the devil, child. So self discipline will save your life. Fourth thing is, it is definitely worth it. The mindset change. So before leaving my mom's house, I never knew I'm a different person from who I am now. Basically, I'm a different person, and the mindset change is like night and day. When I was in my parents' house, I was very complacent, barely getting by. Like I was just like, my life is good. I don't need to go higher. I don't need to go lower. Let's just be like that. But coming here and having to set my mind really open to the hustling life. Like when the bills are on your table to be paid, you become a hustler. Nobody needs to send you to the street, child. You pack your bags, go to the streets and hustle. Okay, by street I don't mean like prostitutes standing on the no, no. I just mean like you will get out there and hustle for yourself, because you're thinking, where is the foodstuffs going to come from? Where are the bills going to be paid from? Like all of these things. Like I want to do my hair. Where's the money coming from? I want to get new clothes and shoes. Where's the money coming from? So when you start thinking of these things, your mindset changes. Now I am more of a go-getter than I was before. Now I'm really, I want to say selfish, because I think about myself now, like my interest. Like if you're not serving my interest, we have nothing to be talking about. Even just the mindset of just knowing myself and setting boundaries and just putting my foot down. Like you cannot come and disrespect me in my house when I'm the one paying the bills now. You cannot disrespect. You cannot walk in and talk to me anyhow. Like how the audacity, like there's a lot of mindset change. Like I'm getting bolder, I'm more comfortable. I'll be turning 25 this year, and I am coming to the mid. I'm really getting to the middle of my 20s, and we are becoming a big girl, so we need to really start getting comfortable into big girl roles. And the mindset change has been amazing. Like I will need to do a separate podcast on mindset change, on how your mindset will change once you stay low, especially when you move to a whole new town and you have no family member around. The mindset change is epic. Like when you sit and you're just like, who was I like a year ago and who I am now? It will be like night and day. Like the me now is the me 2 years ago's elder sister. So I'm definitely grateful for it. It is hard, but definitely worth it. Um, Something that uh I wish I knew was that eating out is not cheap. So I can cook, but the kitchen really is not my favorite place. Like I'm not fond of cooking just for myself to eat. But if I like have people around, I am very excited to cook, because I'm always intrigued, like how my food tastes, what will they think of my food. So it's very exciting. It's almost like you're writing a test, Pasha. But cooking for myself is really not it for me. And so one thing I wish I knew was that I was going to be cooking a lot. So one thing I'm going to advise, if you're contemplating moving out, make sure you know how to cook. You must not know how to cook intercontinental dishes or some very hard, very difficult dishes. No, no, no. Learn, even if it's jollof rice, spaghetti, noodles, fry egg and plantain. Like, learn how to cook something that is edible, and be you obviously build up your skill as you stay by yourself. Like, YouTube has made it so easy for us to be able to learn how to cook. There's so many cooking channels like Delicious Food, Precious Kitchen. There are so many cooking channels on YouTube that I go to look at recipes, and their cookbooks. Like, nowadays, it is not hard to learn how to cook. You just have to want to learn, and you will learn very easy. And also, there are people that already sell foodstuffs that have already been prepared. Like, for example, like they are already, like, for example, you want to cook beans, you just have to buy the boiled, a pack of boiled beans, so you don't have to boil the beans again. So, like, there are people that have already prepared the ingredients for you, so you just take and just put in your pot and just cook. So we have people like in Cameroon, we have Mimi Local Food. She's not, nobody's sponsoring this video, it is podcast. So I'm just saying, because I use her a lot, it makes my cooking easier, because I don't have to like prep the ingredients. They already, I just buy them prepped, and all I have to do is put them in the pot. Very easy piece. Like I said, cooking has been made way easier nowadays. So learn the basics before you move out. And a bonus point is there will be moments of loneliness and depression. So living away from your family members, like even if you're not somewhere that is very outtroverted like myself, that is not really a talkative or really like interactive like that, you would think that when you stay on your own, you'll be able to cope. But then you don't know when the feeling just hits you all of a sudden. Sometimes it happens at night. It happens a lot of the times at night. It just kind of takes you out of nowhere, and you're just like, oh my god, I miss my family. There are so many times where I have cried out of loneliness. There have been times when I've been close to depression. I don't say depression because I guess you can call that depression, Sha. I've been low, like really low, but never suicidal, thank God. But like really low. And you don't have anyone to pick you up. So you have to learn how to pick yourself up and learn how to stop yourself from getting to that point even. So there'll be moments of loneliness and depression. So prepare for it. Prepare for it, because they will come. They will come, but you have to be mentally strong. And for me, as a Christian, prayer has been everything. Like, I say it and I'll keep saying it. Like, there were times when I could have killed myself. There were times when I could have been depressed and just stayed there. But prayer, God has the way He saves you from things that you cannot even begin to understand. Like, the things God has saved me from, that's a whole nother podcast discussion. Because God, if I be talk about God now, even 75 years will not be enough to gist you of everything that He has done for me. So God has been amazing, and I don't take my prayer life for granted. Sure, there are sometimes I don't go to church, sometimes my prayer is like 1 minute, 5 minutes, but just knowing that there is a God looking after me, someone that I can call on to, that is not limited to time, space, that is not unreliable, someone that I will call and will always be there, just gives you some sense of reassurance, especially if you're somewhere like me that likes to feel safe. He is the one for you. So if you don't have a relationship with God, Sha, I want to end this podcast by advising you to build one for yourself. Get to know Him for yourself in whatever manner or route you take. God is always ready. He's an open book, basically. You just have to search and want to know Him, and you will. So, these are the things I wish I knew before moving out of my mother's house, and some lessons I have learned while living out of my mother's house. So, I hope you found this podcast very useful, and share this podcast with your friends, family, download it, listen to it again and again and again and again, and I will see you in my next podcast. Bye.